Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the next lesson in the fitness scaling model. And this is one of the most important, one of the most also sometimes misunderstood, highest leverage yet slightly difficult skill, which if you're able to master like this alone can change your life, your business, it can change everything about you. It is such a crucial skill. It has a bad rep, it has a good rep. It again comes to the intention, but whatever. We are talking about sales, right? So for those of you that are either part of like my team who I'm recording this training video with, or if you're somebody else who I'm like, I've made this public so you guys can take value from it. These are the same principles and strategies that I've done 1.7 million in sales. Might not be a lot, but it does work. I have worked with a lot of fitness businesses as well, and I've built their sales framework. And this is what has worked. This is what we developed after a lot of conversations, and also like has been affirmed. But more than that, like um, it's the ability to persuade someone to do something, which comes down to one of the most important skills a human beings could have because we spend most of our lives with people, right? In this instance, we're using it for empowering, for compelling prospects into making a decision that changes their life. And let's get right into that. So within these like next series of videos, I'll cover the exact scripts, frameworks for doing one-on-one sales, for doing one-to-many sales, um, playbooks for challenges, whatever, for what makes them easy, how to set them up right, sales frameworks, gap selling, what to do, what not to do, objection overcomes, whatever time, wife, things like that, how they can handle that, along with the more fundamental frameworks that you need to be aware of. And well, let's jump right into it. So, in this video, I think I'll try to cover 6 to 7 foundations that you need to be aware of before I start giving you the script and before I start telling you about the sales processes that we can take, both in one-on-one or one-to-many, as a fitness coach, as a personal trainer, as a gym, into getting somebody to take that action to give you money and commit to the decision of improving their life and their fitness journey, right? And the first and the most important one is convictions. The stronger you believe and the confident you are, and the more you value your product and your desire to change someone's life, the easier it will be to sell, right? And like, I say this a lot, but your job, quite often when you're walking in, is not to sell someone your product. It is to help them have that frame. You genuinely care about them and try to change their life for the better. Because think about it, every single morning that person wakes up and looks at themselves in the mirror, and they feel that shame and guilt, and they have that sense of consciousness, self-consciousness, and like social withdrawal or whatever when they're walking and when they're at their office or when they're at home, and all the opportunities and everything else, that mental frustration is missing out for them. And the fact that they're coming to you likely means it is something that is bothering them, or they have other problems, or they have experienced failures in the past. And you're someone, um, regardless of whatever like false beliefs you have, pricing or whatever you think, you have that power within you that you can change someone's life, right? And the more strongly you believe in what you do and your product and your overall mission, the easier it gets to sell someone, right? Like, it's like imagine someone had cancer and you had the cure for it. How hard would you try to convince that person to take the action to take this cure? Because you know it could save their life, and you know if they don't take it, they're gonna die. And how, to what extents and to what lengths you would go to take to compel them, right? We already know what to do. We just don't realize it properly for us to when we are walking into sales, and that's what we are actually doing in sales. Um, and if you don't have that level of belief, then start by building those beliefs in yourself. Look at the transformations that others have had in their fitness journey and how that changed their life and how you can do the same. Look at the pains people have struggled with when they don't get to do this. Look at the overall mission you're on and the potential you have. And like all the great stories, and even like not just yours, but just look at people in general, how their lives were transformed once they were able to do that across all walks of life. And your ability to do that, because like their fitness, their health lies to everything else. Their wealth is dependent on it. They can't perform at their job or anything else if their fitness is shit. Their like relationships are dependent on that as well. Their like happiness is dependent on that. And you can help them, right? But anyways, so convictions, one of the most important things. Number two is tonality. So it's not what you say, it's how you say it and how you deliver it, right? And this comes back to convictions. Because you can tell the difference between somebody who strongly believes in their product versus someone who's just trying to sell, dependent on their tone, because one person is actually cares and is trying to make a difference. And the other, sometimes like people see that and they get swept by that energy. The person who cares the most about the prospect wins at the end of the day and will win the sale. But even besides that, like um I can give you Kevin Hart's script, his comedy script that he delivers at his shows, and you can read the exact same lines and get completely different results. So all the sales scripts and everything else we have later down the road, they won't work if you don't deliver them the right way. Now, obviously, when it comes to delivery and tonality and all of those things, it is slightly complex. And instead of like wasting the next 1 hour talking about all of it, um, I will give you two main frameworks. One is like the more convicted you are, by default, your sales tone will be fixed. Again, imagine the same cancer scenario. You will have your tone will naturally be compelling because you want someone to take an action, right? First thing. Second one is now coming to the third step, which is important, which is don't be desperate. Desperation, when felt in your tone or also generally in the way you're acting, puts people off. Like they see that you don't have your own life in order. How will you solve their problems? Right? So you want to walk in with the frame of mind that you are not there for the sale. You're there to help them. You're there to help them make a decision, which also takes the pressure off selling. Like one of the reasons people don't like sales is because of that overall feeling that you have of asking someone to make an action. But when you reframe that, that you like, it's fine even if they don't buy. Like, don't care about that. Your goal is to find out their problem and empower them to finally take an action that get put like leaves them for the better. Like help them make that one decision that can change their life, right? That's what you're there to do. Like you'll still be ripped and fit. Even if like they don't pay you, you'll get another client. We have the lead nurture, we have the marketing process and all of those things, and not everybody says yes, right? You'll just put in more effort and close another prospect. But with this person, your ability to persuade them can change their life. And that's what you're there to do. You're there to help them. Um, and walk in with that. Don't think you're selling. Think you are, or just change the frame you have of selling. Like most people still think sales as that typical car salesman vibe where they're trying to push you into doing something that you don't like. Our job is not to do that. We are doing either diagnostic sales or we are like, that's what I cover in the next video, which is a gap selling framework. Like there are lots of sales framework. There's challenger selling, spin selling, whatever, moving all of that aside, gap selling in the shortest brief terms right now is where they are right now and where they want to be. It's the gap between their current state and their future state. We identify where they are right now, why they are there, what everything they've tried in the past and how that's impacting their life, where they want to be, why that's important to them, everything else. You tell them the root cause for it. You recommend your solution that can fix that problem for them, and then you get them to take the action, right? Um, and this works just like going to a doctor because a doctor will be able to see the problem that you have and prescribe you the right solution. That's not sales. But that's not like the typical salesy nature, and that's what we're gonna do here. Like like the best sales don't feel like sales. Have that approach. And again, I've done like probably 700 sales calls over my time period. And I'm an introvert. Not introvert, but I'm like not naturally talkative or I'm not naturally um good. But like the reason I was able to be so successful and make 1.7 million in sales and just in front and cash collected, not over the lifetime value, and achieve all of those things was because like there are certain frameworks or skills that when you learn, they sometimes compensate for your flaws in other areas. And in everything that I'm about to teach you, even if you take like 50% of this, it will have a drastic effect. Okay. So, anyways, now moving on to the next lesson, we have covered tone, we have covered gap selling and everything else. Let's come to empowering somebody. So, our goal is to empower a person. It's to get them to see that, to help them like go through whatever bullshit they're telling themselves, and to get them to want to go after their dream or fix that problem once and for all. The reason they haven't been able to make that choice is because they have some limiting belief or because there's some objection or whatever they tell themselves and they tell you. And your job is to overcome that. Because think about it, if they could have done it on their own, if they had the willpower, or if their circumstances were perfect, they wouldn't need you at the first place. They would have just done that at home. So whatever weird reason they tell you, I have this weird thyroid issue, or my metabolism is super slow, so I gain weight easily, so exercise doesn't work for me, or like my body has a weird diet system, or whatever like weird things like people tell, um, or like my wife is like I'm so busy, my work doesn't. Your job is to overcome that. Same for financial object, like whatever thing, like because you know the change it can make for their life, right? So. We are empowering them by getting them to see the value in their goal and their dream and getting them to realize the pain that they're experiencing right now and telling them stories, telling them, giving them examples. Do whatever inspirational, motivational shit you have to do. But like empower a person to make a decision, to take an action, even if it's not buying your product or service. The day they should leave the sales conversation with you being in the zone that they're gonna change their life. And you're somebody who can allow them to do that. And the thing is, like, if you're not walking into a sales conversation with the intention of doing the most you can for a person, then why are you even doing sales? Like, why are you wasting their time and your time? Because if you're going to spend time talking to someone anyways, you might as well do it ensuring that they take an action that is better for them at the very least, right? And like most people who are feeling weirded by sales or whatever, just like try to skim through it or try to postpone it to the next, like we'll do a follow-up session or whatever. But like you're doing follow-ups because you couldn't close on the first like contact point. Now again, it varies between cold and warm audiences. Some require more touch, but considering you're bringing leads in here, like these models are for like first time should work. But regardless, um. if you are not going in with that intention, then you're doing a disservice to them and yourself. And there's going to be an opportunity cost for that, whether you like it or not. And people don't like this that I'm about to say next, which is if you had the power to change their life for the better and you didn't do it, then all the problems or suffering they go through in the future would be on your hands in a way. And this depends on the level of responsibility you want to take for your clients and yourself. I know sometimes this like does become mentally draining a bit, but also on the other hand, it allows you to have that character and allows you to have that ability to have that difficult conversation with the person or get them to see the light of the day if they had their head up their ass all the time where it was dark. Anyways, yeah, I think like Hormozy made that joke. But so empower them to make that decision, right? Now, next thing is obviously besides all of this tonality, emotion, and conviction thing, there's also logic involved in selling. There are processes, there are systems, there are strategies that do work. And if you follow them, you'll do a much better job. So so this is gonna connect back into our previous touch point, which is doing pre-sale questionnaires. And the reason we do that is so we are prepared and we have context and we have information on the person before we start talking to them. It saves us time, allows us to make more sales, time value wise, allows you to build connection fast with the person or break the ice for whatever, like if you found something interesting from their questionnaire or something else like that, right? If they haven't done the questionnaire, ask them to fill that out, and it's fine, wait 5 minutes. Um, if you're doing that in an in-person location, if it's the other way around, just text them before the call and confirm if they have done it. If not, just remind them again. But regardless, so the more you know about someone, like if you knew about a person and their variables and their personality, like, and you have the skill set to be able to judge them and assess them, which you would, like, you would see people who are emotional, you'd see people who are logical. You would be able to tell this person has this issue, you'd be able to tell this person has this issue. You know what their goals are, you know what their pain points are. Then you just need to structure the conversation in the way that you get them to take the decision which is best for them. The more you know about someone, the more you can compel them to take an action, right? Account for all, like, the more variables you're aware of. Most people, like, on the other hand, the mistake people do is they blurt out talking about their bloody programs and their fitness plans and their gym and why it's the best facility and things like that. But again, like, it's not about you right now. It's about them, and people are paying for change. It doesn't matter how good, like, what, like, yeah, your gym is good, but right now it's about them, especially in the first calls. So you need to get them to either, like, see that. And then this also carries on during the call itself, where you want to be able to ask them questions and lead the conversation in a way that they come to the same conclusion themselves. Like, they're overweight or they have fitness issues, but we want them to admit that. They come to us, they might be telling, "Oh, I'm just looking around." Well, they're not there because they're looking around, there because they're bad. And but you can't tell that to them, right? So you want to ask them questions where, what are, like, what's so difficult about, like, how has this affected your life and all those things that gets them to admit the pain and the goal they want and everything else, and gets them to realize that it dawns on them in that scenario when everything is placed correctly, that I have been making this mistake and I can fix it, and I can fix it today. So I should fix it today, right? And there's that 70-30% rule where you try to listen 70% of the time and talk 30% of the time. You ask questions and then you talk during the closing stage. Um, Easier, like, the more experienced you are, the more you can play around with this. But like, if you're starting out and if you're a beginner, you can just follow the script. That would make it much more easier. If you're experienced and there are certain things that you're already good at and frameworks you're good at, then do what's good for you, which is the other lesson where some people have sales styles. Like, try this at least to get better at it, or take aspects from what I'm about to teach you guys. But I made this mistake when I started learning sales. There were so many frameworks and so many different aspects of it that my sales actually briefly became bad because I wasn't playing to my strengths. Like, if you have a story about yourself that you like to share, you don't need to stop talking about it entirely and replace that with something else. If you have a strength or if you have something that you're really good at, definitely use it. But at the same time, don't include all the unnecessary stuff. But if you're starting out, you might not know what that is. And you might just use this as an excuse to not do anything at all. So this is only for the experienced guys. Like, if you're already good at sales, then take this, integrate it. Don't completely remove your existing process because if it's working, you want to make that better, right? Anyways, so with that, we have covered the foundations and the fundamentals. And now we're going to go on to the next lesson in which I'll cover the script and the action steps and pretty much gap selling framework. All right, see you guys.